The train station wasn't on any map I'd ever seen. Its gray, mossy stones seemed to have been forgotten by time itself, blending into the misty dusk as if it had always been there, waiting for someone to notice. The air was thick with the scent of wet earth and ancient secrets, and every footstep echoed off the empty platform. Even when sunlight managed to filter through the drifting mist, the place remained cold and damp, as if the warmth of the day could never quite reach these stones. Water dripped from the edges of the platform, pooling in cracks worn smooth by years of neglect. Above me, the clock tower loomed, but instead of hands or numbers, there was only a single, unblinking eye. It watched my every move, following me with a gaze that felt both ancient and alive, as if it was waiting for something, or someone. My hand trembled as I clutched the warm ticket, its surface pulsing faintly against my palm. I stepped closer to the only track, where a train waited, its body covered in iridescent scales, coiled like a giant serpent ready to strike. The train seemed to breathe, its sides expanding and contracting with a slow, hypnotic rhythm. There was no conductor in sight, no windows to peer through, just rows of glowing green portholes that cast eerie patterns on the wet stone. A hiss of mist escaped from beneath the train, curling around my ankles like ghostly fingers, urging me forward. With a soft, almost inviting sigh, the door slid open. I sat down, feeling the seat mold itself to my shape. Without warning, the train began to move, slithering along the tracks with a smooth, serpentine motion. Outside, the world melted into a blur of purple and yellow, colors twisting and swirling past the portholes in impossible patterns, as if the train was traveling through a dream. When the train finally stopped, the door opened onto a city unlike any I'd ever seen. Buildings twisted and curled in impossible shapes, painted in every color imaginable, all beneath a sky glowing with the deep orange of endless twilight. The air buzzed with the promise of adventure and the unknown. Waiting for me at the edge of the platform was Sam, his face lit by a nervous but excited grin. "You made it," he called out, waving me over. "You have to see my new house. It's interesting." His eyes sparkled with mischief, hinting at the wonders and perhaps dangers that awaited just beyond the station. Sam's house was a tall house in the oldest part of the city. It looked almost impossible, as if it had been wedged there by accident, its crooked windows and patchwork bricks giving it a strange, secretive charm, its narrow frame casting long shadows on the cobblestones below. We went inside. Most of these doors were locked tight, their handles cold and unmoving. It felt like each one hid a secret, something ancient and important, waiting in the darkness behind the wood. Sometimes, if you pressed your ear close, you could almost hear whispers, or the faintest creak from within. "My room's up here," Sam said, his voice a little shaky as he pointed up the creaky staircase. But he kept glancing nervously downward, toward the shadows below. "The real fun's in the basement," he added, though he didn't sound convinced. Suddenly, a scream echoed from below, sharp and chilling, bouncing off the stone walls and making us both freeze in place. "That's Leo," Sam whispered, his eyes wide with fear. "He says the basement's haunted. He's always dared me to go down there, but I never have." Another scream rang out, even louder this time, making my heart race. Sam turned to me, pleading, "Come with me? I can't leave him down there alone." His hand trembled as he reached for mine, and I could see how scared he really was. Together, we crept down the narrow, groaning stairs, the air growing colder and heavier with each step. At the far end of the basement, barely visible in the gloom, stood a red, scratched door. It looked ancient and menacing, as if it had been waiting for us. My stomach twisted with dread. I had a very bad feeling about what waited behind it. The basement was freezing. The basement was freezing. The basement was freezing. Leo sat huddled by the red door, eyes wide, silent. He pointed at the door, trembling. We listened. Nothing. Leo said, "That's the boiler room. Nobody dares to go in there. It's the danger." Then, a soft hiss, like dead leaves, brushed the back of my neck. It was the same sound from the train. We all knew, run. We bolted up the stairs, through the maze of doors, out into the orange-lit street, not daring to look back. My lungs burned, but I didn't stop. I lost Sam and Leo somewhere in the maze of winding city streets, the neon lights flickering above me as I wandered through empty alleyways. The city felt endless, each turn leading me further from where I started, my footsteps echoing in the quiet night. I called out their names, but only the distant hum of traffic answered back. Eventually, I stopped beneath a towering skyscraper, its glass windows reflecting the city's restless energy. The building loomed above me, making me feel small and out of place, but it offered a strange sense of safety amidst the chaos. Inside, I stumbled upon an empty apartment with a panoramic city view. The silence was almost comforting. I took a moment to hide, catch my breath, and gather my thoughts, trying to make sense of everything that had happened so far. Later, as I wandered outside again, something bizarre caught my eye. A small black toilet gleaming on the grass in the middle of a city park. It looked completely out of place, almost surreal, and I couldn't help but stare at the strange oilet, wondering who could have put it there and why. Suddenly, before I could process what I was seeing, a monstrous roar shattered the quiet. The ground trembled beneath my feet, and people nearby scattered in panic. In the distance, Sam's house exploded in a burst of flames and debris. From the smoke, a faceless, shadowy creature emerged, its form shifting and menacing as it moved through the chaos. Out of nowhere, a man with a giant green pickle costume head darted behind me, clutching a huge jar filled with pickles. He looked terrified, glancing over his shoulder as if he was being chased. "That thing destroyed my pickle cellar," he wailed, holding up his now empty jar in despair. His voice trembled with a mix of anger and heartbreak. The shadow creature lingered for a moment, then slowly dissipated into a cloud of smoke, vanishing into the night as mysteriously as it had appeared. The pickle-headed man turned to me, desperation in his eyes. "I'm Dill. Can I stay with you for a while? I don't have much, but I can pay you in pickles," he pleaded, holding out his jar as an offering, hoping for a little kindness in this strange city night. The ground shook. Above, the moon, grinning, enormous, plummeted toward the city. Panic erupted. A colossal, blue-eyed cow warrior rose to meet it, the Mu-Kib Ki, ancient protector. They clashed, beams and debris flying. I grabbed Dill and ducked for cover, thinking of Sam, Leo, and, absurdly, my oilet. A stray beam struck the oilet, which glowed, spun, and rocketed into the sky, straight into the chaos. Dill stared. "What is an oilet?" "A toilet made of oil.